Tonight on the Worldview Report, the Trump administration reneges on a campaign promise to downsize the IRS as the tax collection agency is back in growth mode. Google installs a controversial algorithmic age verification system to search its engine. And the Trump administration is escalating its campaign to make the United States what it calls the crypto capital of the world, placing digital identity at the center of its strategy. The Department of Agriculture says it will no longer use taxpayer dollars to fund large-scale solar or wind projects on productive farmland. Russia has accused Ukraine of launching a drone strike on one of its nuclear power plants. And we'll update you on the latest threat to children. It's coming from mind-altering technology installed in their toys. All these stories and more as the Worldview Report begins right now.
This is Worldview Report with host Brandon House. Whether it is news from the nation's capital or your state capital, from the classroom to the boardroom, from national security to national and local news that impacts you and your family, Worldview Report is your trusted source for vital and uncensored news. And now, here is Brandon House.
Good evening and welcome to the Worldview Report. I'm Brandon House. Leading off tonight, the Trump administration has quietly canceled its plans to fire thousands of IRS agents and is even rehiring some of those that have already been terminated. The Internal Revenue Service is no longer planning to pursue layoffs as it seeks to rebuild parts of its workforce. That's what The Hill reports. The decision to forego layoffs is confirmed by two sources briefed on the matter, and it marks a significant reversal for an agency that has shed about a quarter of its staff and had earlier this year planned to issue widespread reductions in force. As of June, the IRS was still planning to use layoffs to bring its workforce below 60,000 employees. That's after the Biden regime grew the total to more than 100,000. It has, to date, engaged in only limited layoffs, leaning primarily on voluntary incentives to shed 26,000 workers. And now, according to The Hill, the IRS, quote, will use additional tools to regrow its workforce in places that it had previously cut, citing shortages in mission-critical areas, end quote. The agency's acting human resources officer said in an email to IRS managers on Wednesday that was obtained by government executive, quote, IRS has identified areas where staffing reductions created a potential gap in mission-critical expertise. As a result, IRS will utilize all available tools, including details, reassignments, DRP, TDRP, rescissions, and external hiring to identify resources to fulfill the mission-critical skill sets, end quote. This is a total about-face for the Trump administration and their earlier posture, in which it was indicated it might even abolish the IRS. It now appears to be full steam ahead with growing the size of the agency. Biometric Update reports that a controversial age verification system that Google launched recently, by the way, on YouTube, is now also being incorporated into the company's trademark search engine. The age check verification tool uses machine learning algorithms to guess at a user's age based on a, quote, variety of signals, end quote, such as search and viewing history, which means it falls into the category of age estimation or age inference technology. The system has caused an uproar among YouTubers, some 160,000 of whom have signed a petition urging Google to turn it off. Instead, it appears now to be extending the tool's application to Google Search. Tech Issues Today reports that users have now observed a similar age verification pop-up directly within Google Search. Per the report, which features screenshots of the pop-up. Quote, the user who shared the screenshot noted they initially encountered the age verification prompt on YouTube while watching Tech Linked, then discovered it had also appeared during their Google search sessions, end quote. The suggestion is made that once a user is prompted for age assurance on YouTube, well, they might be flagged for it across their Google account. A separate report in PPC land says that Google began rolling out age verification for search on August 15th, and that the verification process follows technical specifications established through Google's Credential Manager API. While Tech Issues Today says there are only a couple of reported instances of the age check pop-up on Google search, a brief in Wired says that the company is rolling out the system in the EU. The full scope of the deployment remains unclear. Still, the point is made that, quote, Google search limitations could significantly hamper everyday internet usage, end quote. That's if users are regularly asked to prove their age when using the search tool. Search has already taken a sharp turn with the implementation of AI summaries and more big changes to a platform that was for many years an established and stable go-to that, well, could cause more users to look to other options such as DuckDuckGo or Bing. The Trump administration is escalating its campaign to make the United States what it calls the crypto capital of the world, placing digital identity at the center of its digital assets strategy. So reports Biometric Update, a request for comment from the Department of Treasury that was mandated by the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, or GENIUS Act. Well, it underscores how digital identity verification has become central to Washington's vision of a blockchain-driven financial future. The notice that was published on Monday in the Federal Register, it calls on financial institutions, technology companies, and the public to weigh in on, quote, innovative or novel methods, techniques, or strategies to detect and mitigate illicit finance risks involving digital assets, end quote. Specifically, the Treasury is seeking ideas on 4 technological pillars: application programming interfaces, AI, blockchain monitoring, and digital identity verification. Treasury said, quote, innovative tools are critical to advancing efforts to address illicit finance risks, but can also present new resource burdens for financial institutions. As required by the GENIUS Act, Treasury will use public comments to inform research on the effectiveness, cost, privacy, and cybersecurity risks and other considerations related to these tools, end quote. The request for comment, well, it fulfills a requirement of the GENIUS Act, which was signed into law by President Trump in July. And it aligns with his broader executive order on strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology. Together, these moves, well, they reflect a sharp pivot from regulatory hesitancy to a very assertive embrace of cryptocurrency infrastructure. In the administration's framing, digital identities are not merely compliance tools, but rather they are a foundational enabler for both security and innovation. Nearly 1,700 National Guard troops are expected to deploy across 19 states for the next few months. All as part of President Donald Trump's nationwide deportation and crime-fighting efforts. The Pentagon is planning, according to their documents, to have National Guard troops that will be mobilized in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Wyoming, and according to defense officials, this is what they told to Fox News. National Guard troops will be activated this month, with operations continuing through November. Now, the largest number of National Guard troops, they will be heading to Texas. That's what officials said. And their duties will include administrative and logistical tasks for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Well, things such as case management, transportation, data collection, fingerprinting, DNA swabbing, and photographing individuals that are in custody. On Friday, President Trump praised the National Guard that are already deployed in Washington, D.C. He said that they were doing, quote, an incredible job working with the police, in quote, tackle crime in the city. And then he stated, quote, I'm really honored that the National Guard has done such an incredible job working with the police, and we haven't had to bring in the regular military, which we're willing to do. After we did this, we'll go to another location, and we'll make it safe also, end quote. On Saturday, President Trump said he planned to send troops to Chicago to rein in that city's crime problems. Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins announced on Monday that the Department of Agriculture will no longer use taxpayer dollars to fund large-scale solar or wind projects on productive farmland, nor allow solar panels made by foreign adversaries in the USDA programs. The department cited farmland loss as a driving concern. Tennessee, my home state, has lost more than 1.2 million acres in the past 30 years and could lose 2 million more by 2027. Nationally, solar installations on farmland, that's risen nearly 50% since 2012. Rollins states, quote, our prime farmland should not be wasted and replaced with Green New Deal subsidized solar panels. One of the largest barriers of entry for new and young farmers is access to land. Subsidized solar farms have made it more difficult for farmers to access farmland by making it more expensive and less affordable, end quote. On X, she said, quote, this destruction of our farms and prime soil is taking away the futures of the next generation of farmers and the future of our country. Starting today, USDA will no longer deploy programs to fund solar or wind projects on productive farmland, ending massive taxpayer handouts. Also ending the use of panels made by foreign adversaries like China, end quote. We'll be right back after this short break. You've seen some of them on Fox News, and now some of them are coming to the Worldview weekend in Collierville, Tennessee, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, like Gordon Chang, an expert on China, as China's buying up a lot of our farmland and more. Then we're going to have the lead pollster of Rasmussen Polling, Mark Mitchell. Where are we headed with the midterms? What's the worldview of the average American? What values do they really believe in? And then Chris Martenson, he's an expert on the Great Reset as we head toward digital currency and social credit scores. Sidney Powell, a lot of you know who that is. Alex Newman, Dr. Andy Woods on Israel and the Middle East. And Adia Miramonde, she was inside the government and even met with people like Gaddafi. She's going to talk about the Middle East. All the details are available, and to get your tickets at worldviewstore.com. That's worldviewstore.com. Again, tell your family and friends, worldviewstore.com. Welcome back. Hey, we got big news. We have added to our National Worldview Weekend. Coming up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, Byron Stinson. He's the farmer that went on search for red heifers to ship to Israel. And indeed, they did. A few years ago, shipped 5 red heifers to Israel as pets. And now one of them has been sacrificed. Originally, we were told in July of this year that it was, blemished, disqualified. So it was a practice. And they burned the red heifer But turns out that was all a ruse. And they now claim to have 10 gallons of ashes. This is all necessary for the cleansing ceremony and requirements per Numbers chapter 19. Now, with the ashes of what they say is a perfect red heifer, they can do the purification for a temporary tabernacle or for the coming full temple, the third temple. Now, this is a big issue, and it's also heavily debated and controversial. And my friends, the man who brought those 5 red heifers to Israel will be with us live in person on Friday night and Saturday, October 3rd and 4th. Tickets are moving briskly now, so you might want to get yours. You can do that at worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. You'll also find our mailing address, our phone number there. If you prefer to register over the phone, in fact, I'll give it to you now if you want to grab a pen. If you prefer to register over the phone, and I know some of you do, you can do that by simply calling 901-825-0652, and Melissa will help get you registered over the phone. That number is 901-825-0652. Now, if you cannot make it in person, we will let you live stream it. You're going to miss out on 50% of what we have to offer because it's great to be in the building with the speakers and the other like-minded folks. But if you can't make it, we don't want you to miss out, but you must have a 1-year membership to the vault. If you're interested in that, you'll find the details at worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, the 22nd annual National Worldview Weekend. Don't forget about the concert, banquet, and keynote address on Thursday night. That's optional. I'll be doing a few numbers with my grand piano and piano player. And then Hadia Miramonde will come out and speak about her testimony and life working inside the intelligence arena and dealing with Islam and meetings with people like Gaddafi. Pretty interesting. She was meeting with people like Muammar Gaddafi, right? So she'll be our keynote speaker on Thursday night for that optional banquet. That is also available for details at worldviewstore.com. In the latest evidence that President Trump's Ukraine peace efforts have flamed out, Zero Hedge reports that Russia has accused Ukraine of launching a drone strike on its Kursk nuclear power plant, which sparked a fire and damaged an auxiliary transformer, resulting in a 50% reduction in the output of reactor number 3. Several other energy facilities were also reportedly targeted during the overnight strikes, involving hundreds of drones. Russia's military said it intercepted nearly 100 of them across various locations in the south. The Kursk nuclear power plant's news service reported that the fire was quickly brought under control and with no injuries. Radiation levels remain normal, and that's according to local reports. However, the press service also noted that 2 other reactors are currently not generating power, though one of them is undergoing scheduled maintenance. Reuters reported that, quote, Ukraine launched a drone attack on Russia on Sunday, forcing a sharp fall in the capacity of a reactor at one of Russia's biggest nuclear power plants, and sparking a huge blaze at the major fuel export terminal, Russian officials said, end quote. Kursk's region's acting governor swiftly condemned what he called, quote, the threat to nuclear safety and a violation of all international conventions, end quote. The site lies some 40 miles from the Ukrainian border. A statement by the International Atomic Energy Agency, well, they acknowledge that the damage did occur, but they did not mention that it was caused by a Ukrainian drone attack. Israel conducted airstrikes themselves on Yemen's Houthi-controlled capital on Sunday, targeting high-profile sites in a significant escalation of hostilities. Watch this. According to regional media reports, the strikes hit areas near the presidential palace, the Assar and Hisdar power plants, and Houthi facilities suspected of housing artillery, including ballistic missiles. The operation was a direct response to recent Houthi attacks on Israel, including projectiles that were launched on Friday. That's what a military source told the Jerusalem Post. At least 2 people were killed and 5 others injured. Al Misra, a Houthi-affiliated media outlet, they reported this fact according to Al Jazeera. The Israeli military, they said in a statement, quote, "The attacks were carried out in response to repeated attacks by the Houthi terrorist regime against the state of Israel and its citizens, including the launch of surface-to-surface missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles toward the country's territory," end quote. The Houthis, they have vowed to continue their campaign in solidarity with the Palestinians. You might recall that back in March, the U.S. conducted bombing raids against the Houthis and declared them an unmitigated success. Remember that? Wiping out 500 to 600 Houthi terrorists, including their drone operators. Well, apparently the success of those missions was overstated. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Friday that the U.S. government has taken a 10% stake in the embattled chip maker Intel. Intel is the only American company capable of making advanced chips on U.S. soil. That's what was said in a press release, and that the government made a, quote, $8.9 billion investment in Intel common stock, purchasing 433 million shares at a price of $20.47 per share. Intel noted that the price the government paid was a discount to the current market price. Of the total $5.7 billion of government funds, they'll come from grants under the CHIPS Act that had been, awarded but not paid. And $3.2 billion will come from separate government awards under a program to make secure chips. President Trump said it was a, quote, great deal for America, end quote. He wrote on Truth Social, quote, "The United States paid nothing for these shares, and the shares are now valued at approximately $11 billion. This is a great deal for America and also a great deal for Intel," end quote. Well, now it's time for our nightly Worldview Report commentary. If you think AI poses a threat to people's jobs, professional statuses, and social lives, well, you'd be right. But it's not just adults being affected. Kids, they are in the crosshairs of the technocrats and their latest mind-manipulating tool. And what better way to do that than to incorporate it into the toys of children? Futurism.com reports that Mattel and OpenAI's newly announced partnership will be all about reimagining the future of play. That's what the iconic toy maker's chief finance officer told Bloomberg. It is being unleashed upon a generation of kids and parents alike. Though no details have been revealed yet, prospects of an AI Barbie, seems entirely within the realm of possibility. And Mark Fernandez, the chief strategist of the human-centric AI company Neurologisa, cited the potential as particularly dangerous for childhood development. He wrote about his concerns in a new essay for IEEE Spectrum. That's an engineering magazine. Children, of course, naturally humanize their toys. It's, part of how they learn. That's what Fernandez said. And then he added, quote, "But when those toys begin talking back with fluency, memory, and seemingly genuine connection, the boundary between imagination and reality blurs in new and profound ways," end quote. With so many grown-ups developing deep relationships with chatbots, it seems nearly impossible that a child might grasp what they cannot, that the chatbots installed in their toys are not real people. As Fernandez noted, The situation gets even more murky when AI toys constitute one of a child's, quote, emotionally responsive companions outside of the family, offering comfort, curiosity, and conversation on demand, end quote. While a prospective Barbie bot would likely fall within the sphere of kids age 7 and up, other companies like the AI plushie startup Curio, they have already started releasing chatbot-enabled toys that are made for and marketed towards younger children. AI toys that are geared towards the preschool set that could easily become one of a child's first friends. And as they learn to navigate real-world interaction via struggle and having conflict with parents and siblings, well, the concern is these toys could offer them reassuring echo chambers, just as readily as chatbots do for an increasing number of grown-ups. Hernandez warns, quote, real relationships are messy, and parent-child relationships, perhaps more so than any other. They involve misunderstanding, negotiation, and shared emotional stress. These are the micro struggles through which empathy and resilience are forged. But an AI companion, however well-intentioned, sidesteps that process entirely, end quote. Fernandez warned that throwing AI into the mix of early childhood development, which has already been irrevocably altered by the ever-present iPad, well, it could, quote, flatten a child's understanding of what it means to relate to others, end quote. He's not alone in that assessment. Child welfare activists have also expressed similar concerns in the wake of the OpenAI Mattel deal, with Robert Wiseman of the Public Citizen Advocacy Group suggesting that AI toys might actually inflict real damage on children. Hernandez concluded that AI toys, well, they're not appropriate for kids. Ultimately, the executive mused that it's about, well, lessons that we're teaching. He wrote, quote, what are we teaching our children about friendship, empathy, and emotional connection if their first real relationships are with machines, end quote. So the technocrats, they're coming for our kids and grandkids. Well, what are we going to do about it? That does it for this edition of the Worldview Report. As always, we want to thank you for tuning in and for remembering that we are brought to you by you. We are a listener-supported network. Please don't hesitate to support us if you want it to continue. And you want us to continue pushing it out for free to help you and others understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. WorldviewFoundation.com, WorldviewFoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. And if you'd like to make a contribution over the phone, you'll also find our phone number there. Melissa will be glad to help you. Just leave her a voicemail or text her. She'll get back to you and help you make that contribution over the phone. We'll send you a tax receipt for your taxes the first week of February of 2026. WorldviewFoundation.com, WorldviewFoundation.com. Thank you. Also, don't forget about getting your free business cards. You can get a pack of 20 of these absolutely free and pass them out to family and friends. Let them know about Worldview Tube and all the free channels, our Bible Prophecy channel, our 24/7 Bible teaching channel, our health channel, our news channel, and this 24/7 stream as well. All of it is at Worldview Tube under the TV link at the top, all of our free channels. But you can let family and friends and maybe people you meet when you're out to dinner or in the grocery store standing in line, let them know about Worldview Tube. We have now mailed out over 20,000 of these business cards. So thank you for helping get out the word by going to worldviewstore.com and getting your free pack of 20 business cards. And order more if you need them. We'll gladly send them. Thank you for that. Hey, till next time, I'm Brandon House. Thanks for watching. May God save America. Take care.